Prada was like main stage.
I think that was 2009. So there's like a year, or yeah, no, maybe they were actually. Maybe that was like the A Day to Remember, uh, the Devil Wears Prada headlining year. That was awesome. That was like after I kind of had a feel for like what Warped Tour is like, and I knew like how to like make sure I saw my bands I wanted to see. So
It's a, that's an exact science. Do you have any tips or recommendations for the fans out there? 'Cause it's not easy to make sure you see everyone.
especially not your first time, I feel like most kids have it down now. You got to make it to like the giant inflatable wall and like take a picture with your phone, and then you're good to go. You can just kind of zoom in and see like which stages and.
No, there's an app for that.
Oh yeah, the Warped Tour app. I haven't figured out how to like actually check set times. I just check like.
Yeah, if
what day's
if
next.
if you pick bands on it,
Mhm.
you can then, depending on the day of the tour, it will set up a schedule for you.
Really?
There's an app for that.
No, I didn't either. I have the app on my phone. I don't know how to like check set times. I just use it to see what city we're in next. So it's kind of a.
See, it's helpful for fans and bands. Where am I today? Oh, okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Fair enough. So, do you guys prefer the outdoor festivals or the more intimate club gigs?
Well, this is our first time on Warped Tour, so everything's been really hard. We're trying to figure it out. And so far, the club tours have been so much nicer to us, like so much easier. I mean, you don't have to wake up till like 4 o'clock. You load in at like 5. And here, it's like wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're outside all day. Like today is the hottest day that we've been here, and it is like I already took a shower. I'm gonna take a shower tonight.
I will have my third shower today. It's just so like because we're from Oregon, and Oregon's very. It's not humid at all. It's very like mild temperatured and just kind of like, in our opinion, nice.
60 degrees and raining in Oregon.
Yeah, today it's about 90-ish, a little bit, might be a little bit hotter, and definitely it's 95, and it's humid as hell.
If it felt like this in Oregon, it would be like 115 degrees. No one would be outside.
So, how do you make sure that you yourselves stay energized as well as keeping the crowd energized? Because in this heat, I can't imagine jumping around either on stage or in the pit.
Luckily, you just kind of like like for me, I just black out on stage. Like it's like a total like weird experience, and then it's over. So like I get to like not have to worry about it too much.
You just get in a zone where you don't even notice.
Well, then I open my eyes for a second, and like there's sweat pouring into it, and it's like, oh.
I don't notice until after off stage either. It's like I was probably so hot today, and then like didn't notice until maybe like 5 minutes until I got off stage, and then I was like, whoa, I'm like really sweaty, and it's like the hottest I've been all year, like on Warped. So
Well, for fans out there, make sure you stay hydrated. That is the number one tip to surviving. The other beverages don't really help that much. What comes to mind when you see a bunch of kids, and maybe this doesn't happen so much in your genre, but like are recording with their phones little videos of your set?
I love it, and I hate it. I think it's cool like when you live in the moment and you're not like staring at the screen while you're you know what I mean. But I do love it because then they get to go home and they get to remember that moment forever instead of just like, oh, remember that. Like they can actually sit there and like watch it. So it's a love-hate relationship.
definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat where it's like if you're focusing on getting your screen to like capture it, you're not fully feeling it. So it's like it's a little bit off-putting in that sense, but yeah, it's also kind of nice for us because then we can go on our like Instagram hashtag and watch these little like 10-second videos. That
Do you use it to sort of see how you were, what you did, or is it
We
just
film our set, so we usually watch it after each show and critique.
everyone kind of knows how they did, you know, whether or not they felt 100% about it. But
The second you walk off stage, you'll know if someone was like, "Oh, I had a bad show," because they'll just instantly be like, "Oh."
well, hopefully that doesn't happen too often. With the music industry sort of ever evolving, do you feel a certain urgency to put out new music all the time or keep updated on social media?
Really hard not to. Like, we're already writing like our next record, and our first record's not even out yet. Like, but you got to leave people, wanting more. And we released our first single like the 5 months ago. Four.
Everyone in the band's like, because I mean, we kind of put our trust in management and like whatever they kind of decide is best for our career, like we kind of roll with. A lot of people in the band are like, why aren't we releasing a song now? I want a song out. You know, it's like to correctly promote our record wasn't ready, so it's like it all kind of like it's a process, and like we just kind of have to trust that the people in charge of releasing our songs and the timeline, as far as that goes, know what they're doing, and they've done it many a time. So
And you mentioned that your first single came out about 5 months ago. What do you attest to your success on Warped based on that?
Um, there. I mean, like everybody who is there knows that song, and that's pretty cool. We have another music video out, and I don't know. It's been great. Like, we do get a lot of people like walking by that just stop and come hang out, but like the first 50, 60 people in that front row like singing along is always like super sick.
And you mentioned you have a second music video out for which song again?
Searching for endings.
Why in 2014 is it important to make music videos?
it's just like a way to put like, yeah, it's you put a face to the sound you're hearing, and like I think like the branding of a band is really important, like making sure that everyone understands like what you're about, especially as a live band, because that's how like like everyone says like anyone with a MacBook can make songs these days, but to actually make music that like is worth holding on to and worth like, especially as like a unit, like when you write a record and the record is like is what you want it to be, conveys the message that you're trying to get it to, like through and through, and it means something to you, it's like that is like in itself a work of art, you know what I mean? I feel like that's almost, it's not really like a dying art necessarily, but I feel like a lot of people don't value that as much as they should. That like when you make like an album, it's like yeah, it has to be like every song has to fulfill like a spot that you want it to on the record, and like it has to, when it comes to like the tracking of it, everything has to be the way you want it to be in order for it to really like display what you want it to. So
And you mentioned how different and sort of difficult it is in 2014, the music industry. With album sales sort of on the decline, how do you measure success for your band?
Instagram followers. I don't know. Facebook likes, hashtag. It's all very like social media.
I think the biggest one is like YouTube plays in my head. Like when I think like how like what defines like, but then like you see bands, like a lot of bands will like sign to majors and like they'll get less because they'll release them themselves and they'll get less views, but then when they go to a headliner they have more fans out than they ever had. So I don't know, it's kind of a weird one. I think up and coming bands, like initially like YouTube success like is a very good like determinator, I think.
I would agree.
Damn you, YouTube, but thank you as well. I mean, that's sort of the nature of the beast, I feel like, and where things are going. But let's think about where things used to be. When did you realize that you wanted to be a musician?
Uh, I got my first guitar for Christmas when I was 12, I think, and I taught myself, and I sucked, but like I just knew. Oh, I just knew like when I held it, I was like, this is me. This is my image. This is like who I am. I mean, I don't play guitar anymore, but like, I, I meant the musical aspect of it. Like I am meant to be doing this, and I think yeah, like 12, 13 years old.
I didn't. My sister got a guitar for Christmas, and I just she never played it, and I played it all the time. So I was just like, I ended up trading her for something. I forget what, but and then I just play along to like Green Day songs and Linkin Park songs, and then like I don't know. Like I always like wanted to play like the talent show. I wish like I could just like I have like I did not when I wanted to. That was like that was embarrassing. But like when I was in like 6th and 7th grade, like my dream was to be like on a stage in front of like my whole school, just like playing the songs that I played in my room. It's like I feel like if the majority of thoughts that go through your head are related to like performing for people, like, and if you would ask me what would be my ideal job since I was in 5th grade, I would have told you being a performing artist, like, and a musician and writing music.
Like 14, 15. So
Well, and growing up, what sort of music did you listen to when, as a teenager, things get tough?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as far as in the band goes, like me and him have probably the most similar. Yeah.
Plan, Green Day. Listen to a lot of Taking Back Sunday.
Like when we started like being in bands together, I feel like we listened to pretty similar music. Like obviously Taking Back Sunday and like The Academy is and Under Oath was huge. Atreyu was huge. Just bands like that. I don't know. Going to concerts is just like the funnest thing ever.
Why do you think kids, especially teenagers, turn to music when things are difficult?
I would just say because you get a connection that you cannot get anywhere else, and it's mainly because like we share like our stories, and like when people can actually relate to like a real life situation and they can like feel like the passion, like it's something to grab onto, like you were saying, and they do it because it's a hole that fills them, and that's really why we do it.
It like conveys emotions and like when someone's in need of like feeling a certain emotion and like a song can do that for someone, that's just like very powerful. I mean, I feel like everyone's had like a moment where they're like feeling a certain way and just listen to a song that just like hits it right on the spot for like that specific like moment. And if we can do that for like one person every now and then, that's like what it's all about.
I was going to say that must feel really cool if someone comes up to you and says, I was dealing with this. And
Oh, yeah, I love that. I've gotten notes and all that kind of stuff. Just people saying like, I was gonna go home and kill myself tonight, and you guys have said like, don't sink, like you can make it through it, and it's just like, you just like sit there like with like the note, and you're just like, before like the moment's gone, and you're just like, no, I want to talk to you, but no, it is the coolest thing.
Like I don't know, it's like you have to question like whether or not like how true that was, but at the same time it's just the impact itself, like even if it wasn't like 100% like the way that they had.
They still had that thought, and they still were like enough to share it with us.
I wouldn't dismiss it totally because I do think some kids, when they don't have a lot of outlets, whether it's singing along to your songs or listening to songs, it really does sort of, like you said, fill that little hole where, nothing else was going to do that. So I think that must be pretty powerful for you guys and all musicians out there who experience that. Um, Now you're here on Warp Tour. Being on the road must get a little difficult day after day, night after night.
Warp Tour, yes.
How are you guys getting around?
We have a bus. A bus.
That's all.
Why do I have a feeling it's way more than just a bus?
Way less than just a bus would be.
It's yellow.
I don't know
Like
about that.
kind of like a school bus?
Don't point to conclusions. It's a yellow bus.
Who's the worst driver?
Definitely our guitarist, Dakota. We didn't even let him drive the first tour.
That might be smart. Although it might be his like secret trick. Like maybe I'll just be a really shitty driver, and I'll just sit in the back seat all day. I'm just
We he drives now.
force him into it. Teach him how to be a good driver. Any good truck stop or late night moments that stick out in your mind?
Other than learning about like Wawa and Sheets, we don't have that in Oregon, so.
Oh yeah, you got to learn about that easy, like early on.
Yeah, little places that like are kind of culturally different from like the different regions of the U.S. Those places are awesome.
So you mentioned that you are still working, or the process for your first album still working on it.
Our hands now, and it has been for a while, but we have the music video out, we have 2 singles out, and then the record has a release date. It's October 7th, and it's titled Only Forever. And yeah, it's coming. Thank you.
What's up next after Warped Tour?
We hop right on a tour with a headliner tour with Slaves. Or they're headlining, and Micah Relocate, and Nightmares, and Youth in Revolt. So, and we've toured with 2 out of the 4 bands before, and love the dudes. So,
Japan with Issues, and it's gonna be sick.
two good lineups. It sounds like you have a very busy next couple of months. Album's coming out October 7th, so stay tuned for more from Alive Like Me. This is Jackie. Thanks to All Access and In the Key of Change.